Hello everybody and welcome back to another e-bike review. Really interesting one actually. So if you're familiar with the brand Nakto, I actually have a ton of bikes of theirs that I reviewed on this channel. They've always had like a really good share of the e-bike market because they create like bikes that are good enough. Like basically they've got a whole lineup of bikes in like the $600 to like $1,200 range, and they dominate it, I would say, because they're repping them out. They're decent quality. They've been around a while. They're somewhat like, they're not a fly-by-night brand, whereas a lot of these other new cheap ones that come out are just random brands that you don't really know what you're getting into, where Nakto, I think, has like a decent enough network for customer service and things like that. Okay, all that said, they have this brand new bike, the F2. It is kind of like a RadRunner meets the Super 73 bike. So I happen to own a RadRunner, and I'm going to go ahead and compare it to that bike. Now, before we do that, a couple things to keep in mind is, one, the RadRunner is about $400 to $500 more expensive than this Nakto F2. And also, obviously, the design's a little different, battery's a little different, and then the motor is a 500 watt on this Nakto, where it's 750 on a RadRunner. So keep those things in mind, but I'm gonna kind of be going and comparing those. So we'll build it and we'll check it out. All right, so this gets big bonus points right out the gate for one super important reason, is that I pulled it out of the box and it was basically all the way built. That is a very rare occurrence in the e-bike world. Usually you have a minimum of an hour of building a bike before you get to ride it. All I'm gonna have to do on this guy is put the handlebars on, install some pedals, and I think that's it. So what we get in the box is the Nakto F2 e-bike, and it looks cool. I think they did a really good job. The build quality is actually pretty impressive. We've got rear suspension, we'll hang out with that. We've got a really beefy front fork. You know, I don't want to get my hopes up here, but so far it's looking promising. In the box it comes with, let's see here, we got our pedals and toolkit, a manual, and then I'm pretty sure this is just the charger, if I had to guess. Charger, yep. All right, so I will finish building this up and then we'll take a quick look together. Okay, so I think it is pretty fun to actually compare the RadRunner to this Nakto. They have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. Okay, so I'm just gonna talk super general specs because this thing is kind of blowing my mind. So this is a 16 amp hour battery, which is extremely impressive. Like, that's a really good battery. Estimated 60 miles on a charge, and I'm sure that's using like level 1 pedal assist, like super slow, but that's fantastic. It also, I'm getting mixed signals on the motor size. Like right here, for instance, it says 500 watts, but on the website it says 750, and what I think it is it peaks at 750. Like like a lot of 500 watts will peak at like sometimes 750 or 1,000. Sorry, I think actually 750s peak at 1,000, whatever it might be. So I do think it is like what you're used to. It is actually a 500 watt. Although there has been rumors that this is the same, that this is actually 500 and 750, and that Rad is a little vague on their marketing. But even this is like $500 more. Oh, did I even say that? This thing is only $1,100, and it's sturdy. You get a great battery. You got a front and back. It's the easiest bike I've ever installed in a long time. You know, is the shape and style for everyone? Maybe not, but a lot of people do love this kind of cruiser style. And I think Nakto has a hit. Now, I haven't rode it yet. I just built it. But spec-wise, on paper, you know, so far, really impressed. Some awkward things, I guess, would be, one is the weight. This thing is so heavy. This is not for someone who has to haul it or has to take it upstairs or anything. This thing is heavy with a capital Y. Much heavier than the RadRunner. But for a lot of reasons. You got a bigger battery, you've got rear suspension on both sides here, you got a big fork on it, you've got these big 20 by 4 inch fat tires. For instance, I think those are 3-inch tires on the RadRunner, and it's big is what I'm trying to say. The seat's a little weird. It's like you have like room for 2 people technically, even though there's no foot pegs, and it says it can hold 400 pounds. So if you can find a way to comfortably sit someone back here, maybe they do sell like foot pedals or something for a passenger. Not that I've seen that yet, but maybe you could make it work. Like maybe it could actually be a multi-person bike, where RadRunner has a similar situation where you can buy a rear seat for that and foot pegs to make this also a passenger vehicle, if you will. Yeah, let's just quickly go over parts. You know, this headlight is huge. I think it's, you could see like the LEDs built into it, which is, you know, pretty high end. That's nice. The tires we already talked about, really nice tires, great battery. The fork seems nice and sturdy. That said, it has, these are just for show. They don't actually adjust anything, but it's still a way bigger fork than most e-bikes have. The rear suspension, you know, haven't like taken it off road or anything. Ooh, that seems dangerous. This cable's already getting caught in there. Yeah, we don't want that. Oh yeah, look, it's already shredded. We're gonna have to find a solution for that. That's gonna keep getting caught in there as you ride. Okay, so we'll find something for that. I'm sure I can loop it down here for the time being. Yeah, that works. Nice. Okay, what else? We do have, I think 6-speed Shimano drivetrain here with a tourney derailleur. Yeah, tourney TZ. This seems to be the standard on almost every e-bike nowadays. It's a perfectly fine derailleur. It's gonna do the job just great. A nicer cassette, that'll also be totally fine. When I built this, my tip I always give you guys is make sure you grease the threading here as you're installing these pedals, because on this guy I've had to replace the cranks on both sides now because I did not do that, and it just, you can see this, it's already starting to do it again. That metal on metal just wears away really quickly. All right, I think that's enough for a parts review, and yeah, I'm really impressed out of the box. You know, I was worried too, like the riding angle would be awkward, but the way that this is kind of like a, I don't know what you call it, like a framed handlebar rather than like a flat handlebar, it's actually really close. You know, no, it gives you a nicer riding angle, so that's good for the geometry. You have a little bit of adjustment if you want to move forward or back. It comes with a screen. You know, this I had to buy aftermarket for the RadRunner. It just came with like a tiny little, you know, dial, where this guy comes with it right at the gate. The power button's located down here, and you do have a color screen too, which is a nice touch. Pedal assist levels go up to 5 here, and also there's a naming convention. I know that's hard to read, but it says Sport on the highest, Normal is 3 through 4, Eco is 1 and 2. And on 1 and 2 is probably where you're gonna see those high range numbers, you know, of it says 60 miles, I'm guessing. In reality, you're probably gonna be rocking it in like 3, 4, or 5, and it's probably gonna get closer to like 20 or 30 miles range, which we all know is more than enough. That's still great. Instead of a traditional power bar, there's an energy bar, which is pretty interesting. I've actually not seen that on an e-bike, but that's nice. I mean, I guess you can track your energy as it goes, and it's that easy. You got your odometer, your speed, and a nice color screen right in front of you. So kudos to Nakto. This is their best, hands down, this is the best bike they make. I've liked their, what was the fun one? The Santa Cruz they have is a nice little like traditional cruising bike. This is way better though. I've also had the Ox, which is a folding e-bike they make, which is totally fine, but this one, between the screen, the parts, price point, like this thing blows them all away. That said, one last thing is I do not like this throttle one bit. It is awkward, plasticky, and you know, I'm just trying to find some negatives here. Like, yeah, it's totally fine, you could live with it, but I'd so much rather have like like the RadRunner, for instance. I like the twist throttle a lot, and or even just a nicer thumb throttle. So okay, now we will take it for a ride. Okay, we are at the hill test portion. I'm going to film the speed that we're at. Sorry for the wobbly camera. Okay. I'll zoom it in too so you can see it. It's a pretty decent hill. I'm gonna go wide though, and we are gonna start using just the throttle. We're gonna do no pedaling. Not that this bike was made for pedaling, by the way. It is the worst. It is a throttle. This is a moped, baby. Okay, so we're gonna kick it off. Ready? All right, so far, no issues at all. And it's starting to get a little steep here. Still going around 10. And it has no issues getting up the hill. Here's the steepest part right here. And we're staying solid at about 9-10 miles an hour. All right. So hill test, totally passed. All right, it's time to talk final thoughts about the Nakto F2. You know, I thought I was overhyping up this bike, but you know, any downsides it has, it's like so hard to just not remember, oh wait, this is only $1,100. like I said, I don't like the throttle. It's maybe a little too heavy. I guess those are the two biggest things I'd caution you if you're looking at this guy and you don't want a heavy bike. But man, everything else is just perfect. It really is. They did a really good job. If you watch my channel often, I try not to give like every e-bike I ride like a solid stamp of approval, but as far as like trying to recommend anything other than this, if you're looking for like this cruiser style e-bike, it's tough. Like, this is really good. And I know this style's not for everyone. In that case, there's a ton of other bikes. Check out some nice folding e-bikes. You know, maybe if you're looking for like high quality batteries, I always steer people towards like Ad Motor or Aviton. They've got some really good batteries. But as far as bang for your buck, cool cruiser e-bikes, this thing rules. Maybe like I would pay an extra $100 for a 750 watt motor just to take it to that next level. But you saw on the hill test that handled it just fine. And it's got a heavy bike and a heavy guy. It's got to push up that hill and it still handled it no problem. So, and that said too, like the throttle cuts out at a certain speed. It's just like the legal thing. As far as every e-bike, it's going to stop around 20 miles an hour. So even with the 750 watt motor, you know, it's still going to cut you off. So it really only adds a little more torque or if you're going off-roading. So long story short, a 500 watt that peaks at 750, it's just fine. It's really just fine. You get to cruise pretty fast, and the geometry of this bike, it almost makes you feel like you're going a little faster. One more downside on this, if you are looking for an e-bike that you're hoping to pedal a lot, this is not comfortable for pedaling. It just isn't. It's definitely like a sit down, put the throttle on, I'm going on my like moped and going on a ride. It's not a pedal assist bike. It just, at least for not long distances, you don't even want to consider that. Like, it is a throttle only e-bike, and for that it's perfect, and I love that. If you want a more pedal assist bike, look to more like the mountain bike style e-bikes. I've reviewed the Hovsko Alpha. That's my favorite one right now, so check that out. But again, back to this bike. If you're looking for that cruiser style, and I can't get over the price point, like that's what has me like really like scratching my head, because they didn't really skimp on parts. Usually you'd see like I don't know, non-high or non you know, I guess that, sorry, I'm all over the place. But if it had hydraulic brakes, maybe that would have been a little nicer. You have mechanical brakes, but they're Shimano branded brakes. Like it's decent. Like, long story short, it's a good bike. If you're considering it, it has my thumbs up. Sure, Nakto could have its issues over time. That said, the only real issues that I've seen pop up are like fuses blown in the batteries. And this seems like a totally new battery. Like I've reviewed and ridden a lot of Nakto e-bikes, and I've never seen this exact battery. So hopefully they've ironed out some of those issues. And even if you do blow a fuse in the battery, it's really not that hard to fix. So keep an eye out for things like that over time. And then other than that, it seems solid enough to hold up. So I think it's a pretty decent buy. So with that, I'm gonna end the review here. Thank you for watching. And I hopefully this was helpful if you were considering buying the F2. Yeah, what can I say? It's a thumbs up for me. So see you guys.